Oh,
World War I, 1917 to 1918, by Jordan Rogers, Graham Simmons, Sean Weathersby, and David Wildebrandt. At first, German unrestricted submarine warfare was successful. In the first month of U.S. involvement, German submarines sank 8,500,000 tons of Allied shipping. But the convoy system and new military countermeasures soon brought the submarine threat under control. By late 1917, the Allies so thoroughly commanded the seas that they were able to transport over 2 million American soldiers to Europe without losing a single one to submarine attack. Relying primarily upon the draft, the U.S. put about 5 million men in uniform. General John Pershing commanded the American Expeditionary Force that was sent to France. Americans eventually held about one-fourth of the entire Western Front. In the home front, agencies such as the War Industries Board mobilized the incredibly productive American economy. When the railroads could not handle the increase in wartime traffic, they were put under control of the national government. The booming economy helped workers and real income increase an average of 20%. Farmers also benefited greatly from the war as the demand for their products increased. Thousands of Southern blacks moved to the North for war jobs and racial tensions increased. Race riots in East St. Louis, Missouri in July 1917 and in Chicago in July 1919 killed nearly 100 blacks and whites. Women also moved into the workforce, temporarily taking jobs traditionally held by men. When the war ended, most women soon left their war jobs. The Committee on Public Information swamped America with propaganda materials designed to rally public opinion, which was not universally enthusiastic about the war. About 200,000 young men fled the U.S., most going to Mexico to avoid conscription. Movies such as The Beast of Berlin and The Prussian Cur, pamphlets, books, posters, and photographs aroused the country's war enthusiasm. Sauerkraut became Liberty Cabbage. The teaching of German was dropped from many high school curriculums, and German Americans were harassed. More seriously, opponents or critics of the war were silenced, and about 900 were imprisoned after Congress passed the Espionage Act in 1917 and the Sabotage and Sedition Acts in 1918. These harsh laws provided heavy fines and prison sentences for anyone obstructing the draft or aiding the enemy, or saying anything against the American government, flag, and uniform, or any organization that supported the war effort. Since both the Red Cross and the YMCA were helping the war effort, criticizing these organizations was a crime, and several people went to prison for doing so. The post office banned a number of socialist and anti-war publications from the mails. The government used the war as an opportunity to destroy the international workers of the World Union. The IWW was a socialistic labor union that opposed the war because its leadership believed that workers in every country had more in common with each other than they did with the capitalists of their own country. These socialists asked, why should American workers kill German workers to enrich the capitalists of each country? In September 1917, Department of Justice agents made simultaneous raids on 48 IWW meeting halls across the country, seizing written material that would later become courtroom evidence. In 1918, 101 IWW leaders were tried for conspiring to hinder the draft, encourage desertion, and intimidate others in connection with labor disputes. All were found guilty. 15 were sentenced to 20 years in prison. 33 were given 10 years. The rest shorter sentences. The union was fined a total of $2.5 million. The IWW never recovered from its opposition to the war, and it faded from the U.S. labor scene. The withdrawal of Russia from the war offered Germany its last chance for a military victory. In March 1918, the Germans made their final attempt at knocking France out of the war before American reinforcements could turn the tide. The German forces succeeded in advancing 40 miles, and they came within 35 miles of Paris. But an Allied counterattack, supported by 140,000 fresh American troops, stopped the German advance. With the arrival of 2 million more American troops on the continent, Allied forces began making a steady advance toward Germany. In September 1918, the Bulgarians sued for peace, followed in October by the Turks. One by one, the ethnic minorities of Austria-Hungary proclaimed their independence, and on November 3rd, the Austrians surrendered. German military units began to mutiny, workers and peasants began forming communist councils, and on November 9th, Kaiser William II abdicated and fled to the Netherlands. On November 11, 1918, an armistice went into effect between Germany and the Allies. German communists attempted to gain control of the government, but they failed. The attempt by the communists to gain power and the bloody suppression of the endeavor by the German government created a deep fear of communism among the German middle classes. This fear would soon be cleverly manipulated by Adolf Hitler.